All right, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw the rule of thirds on your nice final piece of paper. What tool do you think you should use to draw the rule of thirds? A pencil. I'm going to use a Sharpie. Why do you think I'm going to use a Sharpie instead of a pencil? Yeah, so that in the video, y'all will be able to see it better. Okay, so I like to use these clear plastic rulers the most. They're flat, so it's a lot easier to see if my lines are in the right place. This piece of paper is 12 inches wide and 9 inches tall, right, the way it is right now. Are both of those numbers divisible by 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what is 12 divided by 3? Where should I make my marks? 4, that's right. So over here, just letting you know, this ruler has a point that is 0, but it is not the very end of the ruler. So make sure that you're lining up with that mark that says 0. Otherwise, your lines will be a little bit off. So I line my ruler up at 0. Here, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And then I make a little mark at 4. And another mark, where should I make my next mark? 8, that's right. So I'm doing it along the top edge of the paper here, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom edge. I'm going to make them as far apart as I can, but they don't have to be the very edge of the paper. Just the farther apart it is, the more it'll line up. Once I do the marks at the top and the bottom of my paper, then I can, here I'll zoom out a little bit, then I can use my ruler as a straight edge. Do you see how I'm spreading my fingers out on the ruler here? That way it won't act like a seesaw, so I'll make sure that it's all measured correctly. And then very lightly with my pencil, I'm going to connect my dots. Why do you think you have to do the top and the bottom of the paper?
Because otherwise it won't be sure.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just guessing on where the other end will be. And I have done a lot of measuring in my time as an artist, so I can pretty much tell when something is truly parallel. But like, if we have this ruler, it can draw perfectly straight lines, and why wouldn't we want it to do that? Okay, so the other end is 9 inches. What is 9 divided by 3? 3, yeah. So I'm going to make a tick mark at 3. Where's my next tick mark going to be? 6, yep. I'm going to do that at the bottom and the top of my paper. Before I make my tick marks, where am I lining up my ruler? At 0, yeah. Not at the end. We shouldn't assume that the end of the ruler is 0. And then this ruler is just long enough that I can get the whole top and bottom of the paper. I make sure I spread out my fingers so that my ruler doesn't turn into a seesaw. And then also, I'm right-handed, so I'm drawing my line along the right-hand side of the ruler. And that way I can get it all up next to the ruler so it can be as straight as possible.
Dangerous, like right here.
It's better to line it up to the top and the bottom. Actually, you should switch your paper around, and then you're going to do 3 and 6.
Right here?
Yep. So even if I'm not 100% correct, the farther apart I can get my 2 little tick marks, my stop and end of my line, the more likely it's going to be parallel to the edge of the paper. And now I have my grid made, so if I have an object on crossbars in my thumbnail, it's a lot easier to transfer that now that I have this little grid drawn up here.